Hey guys, I want to kind of do a little quick run through. I know Decoy Dude had commented about wanting to make a rock base, and it's one of those tricky things too, where man, I've done so many different ways over the past, trying to figure it out, and there's still plenty of ways. I know now with some of the molds and artificial, but as far as getting rocks that are specific sizes and shapes that you're kind of wanting, as opposed to just more heavily manufactured stuff. This kind of way that I use and a lot of people that I know use, with pretty good results. So first I wanted to show, this is the foam I was kind of talking about before. It's mainly in it's in the very back of Lowe's. They use it for like garage door insulation or something, but it's like 1 inch thick, but it's a pretty big sheet, and they sell it in packs of, I want to say, so 1 inch by 8 foot, so it's pretty tall, but I think it's actually less than that because it's for garage doors. I want to say it's like maybe 4 feet but either way, I mean, you're going to be cutting and chopping and all that stuff, so it doesn't really matter ultimately. So, and I want to say it's not too bad. I mean, I know, I think it's like $20, and if I buy it, I use that when I do, I carve quail bodies, some of the upland birds like rails, things that don't have readily available bodies on supply catalogs. So I'll carve all my own with this foam, and I'll have to show that one too at some point. But for this, it's like it'll last you a long time and a lot of rocks, so definitely get your money's worth. So from there, go to Lowe's, get that. It's a good foam because it's lightweight. What you want to do is, once you kind of get your shapes, your very basic shape, kind of cut out. I'll show a little bit more in a minute because I don't want to jump ahead too much. But so from there, you're going to want to get the RMXP, which is McKinsey Professional Rock Mix. And what that stuff is, it's like paper mache, except it has more chunks in it, like larger. It almost looks like, just chunks of material that kind of give, so the rock isn't like perfectly smooth. Only river rocks are smooth. Most of your kind of cliff or larger rocks, have some texture to them. And that really helps facilitate that. And they also have like a little, a bunch of flakes. It's like a golden sheen flakes. And you mix that stuff up just like mache. So in a paper cup, you're going to do that, mix it up until it gets, pretty thick, peanut butter, maybe a little thinner even. Rub that all over. And then once you do that and you kind of start to fill it, solidifying just a little bit. It is kind of time sensitive like the bird injection stuff, but once you feel it starting to kick, you're going to want to get a real big sponge like a car wash sponge, something pretty heavy duty, and you're going to want to kind of start wiping down all the areas of that rock mix to kind of smooth it out, and that also kind of helps uncover plaster that had gotten over any of those gold flakes, and it kind of brings them out. The color out in them, which always makes a much more impressive deal. And you can see it's $13.10. It's real cheap, and I mean that's enough rock mix honestly to make quite a bit. So unless you're making if you're making like say a single rock for a diver or something to stand on or sit on, that bag right there would probably make you anywhere from, I would think, 5 or 6 rocks. So very, very minimal on that. So anyway, so we have the foam, we have the rock mix, and then we'll go to, normally I'll go with like tempera paints. And so these are, obviously not these colors, but normally I'll go with like a reddish brown, and that kind of gives more of that Southwest, kind of, more red earthy kind of rocks. I generally use a dark brown or a black, probably black or even like a dark gray, because I like most of my rocks to be ultimately dark gray. And what I'll say about that, same thing here, you mix it in a cup, You mix it well, just like paint. You know, get it pretty watery. Then you can use your same sponge from before, obviously cleaning it out after each application or step. Paint that along the rock mix, and then as it kind of starts to dry, then you have a choice. So say you use black and you paint it and the rock is really dark. Well, what you can do is then you take the sponge, and like just damp sponge, and as you kind of run back over that rock mix, it's going to start to lighten up the higher areas. The lower areas, the crevices and stuff, will retain the black for a shadowing effect, which is really nice. But the light areas, it'll start turning it from say like a black to a dark gray, and then if you keep going over it, it'll turn to a light gray. And so you kind of have some options there of what color you want to end up at. And so that's really cool. And so even if you want a light gray, you paint the black, all you have to do is just damp sponge, squeeze it out, dampen it again with clean water, rub it, you know, before it dries. And even as it dries, since it's water-based, you're still going to be able to get it up until you get the right color you want. So, and then from there, after the rock mix is dried, wait for that to dry, go do the tempera paint. After the tempera paint has dried, and then next I'll show you, let's see, oh wait, wrong one. So then what I'll do is, so here's a rock here that has, you can see the foam, so it's just a foam in a basic shape. And that's just paint that went underneath it. Normally when I paint them, I'll place it on top of a garbage bag, and that way I can just do whatever I need to do, and I don't have to worry about, you know, getting everything messy. And this is the rock mix has been on, rubbed. You can see some of the areas where you can smooth down some of these areas, and then obviously some of the rougher ones kind of leave alone, so it kind of retains the shadowing. And then what I would do next on this is I would put on my resin. So I would put something underneath to kind of hold it. I'd put wax paper down, and I guess you could use trash bags as well. I like wax paper just in case, you know, something sticks or whatever, but a trash bag works good. Just make sure that, you know, none of the foam is touching the trash bag itself, and you'll be fine. But I'll elevate it off with just a few, you know, just trash basically. That way if it gets resin on it, who cares, right? So then I'll have that elevated up. I'll get a cheap bristle brush. Don't use a stain brush because that will disintegrate almost immediately, and especially against these rough surfaces, it'll tear it apart. So bristle brush, mix on the resin, get this thing all shiny, let that sit overnight, and bam. And because see, this right here will chip without resin, and you can chip it just like that. But once you have the resin on, then it's completely secure. It's you know, tough as can be, and then you can put your birds on, or add your mussels or your icicles. You know, you can buy icicles from a supply catalog too. And while you're doing the resin, you know, you could hang a few icicles off some of these little deals here. You know, glue them on, and then resin over that to add some icicles. Or a little bit of snow or something off in the crevices during the resin process. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, the foam, the rock mix, the tempera paint, the resin, you know, again, Hobby Lobby, 40% coupon. I always like to go on with a buddy or my son or something if I got to buy a few things so I can get 40% off on everything. And get the big case of the resin. I've noticed that they've had that much better in stock, at least, you know, here, with a clear casting resin, I think it's called. And normally they show a picture of a guy pouring it on top of a table, like a bar table. And so, and then like I said, once you get that, then you'll have to go through and kind of cut off. You're going to have to kind of cut off some of the drips on the bottom that have solidified. Again, no big deal. Normally what I'll do there is put a couple of furniture felt tabs on the underside throughout you know, all the corners or spaces. That way nothing's touching the bottom. And then you have a really beautiful rock that won't scratch up any surface. It's kind of elevated, which, you know, which gives it a cool look too. And that's it. So that's the making a rock. Like I said, you can make you know, you can make a single one like this if you wanted just to have a golden eye sitting on it, or you can have this, you know, big guy here if you want to, you know, big old common eider sitting on it, or whatever, or hell, a couple ducks, you know, a couple scops or something. But anyway, pretty simple process. I just want to let everybody know kind of the steps and what they would need to make it. And most of the stuff you're going to kind of have for other stuff anyway. Like I said, with the foam, I use that to carve certain bodies that aren't really available as much through the catalogs. So I have foam on me anyway, and bang bang, you know, it's already there. So anyway, guys, there's a little bit of the gold. It's hard to see because I haven't, once you resin it especially, it'll you can kind of see a little bit of it coming through in some of these areas, but it just gives it a cool look. That's why that damp sponge is so important, because you can see it better here. Because once that resin goes on, you know, man, it just, it makes everything just look so textured and just realistic. But anyway, guys, that's it. Again, I appreciate all the comments, really do, and all the support. And again, if there's anything that you're thinking of, you want, I'll try my best to answer, of course. Next video, I am going to try the support wire. I completely spaced. I thought for sure that I'd already done it, you know, into an actual bird, and then I realized after I saw the comment that I was like, no, surely I've done that, and I went to find it so I could just reference the link, and apparently I've shown everything but, you know, actually how to put the skin and put the, you know, support wire through there, and how to do all that, and how to hold the bird. So that will definitely be coming up soon, and then whatever else comes up. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you later.